Good morning, and welcome everybody to this new moon intention setting, and seership session that we're going to be doing to welcome in the energies of the new moon. So sometimes timing has it that we're meeting for our new moon session or our waning moon session ahead of when it's going to come. So it's Monday today and the new moon isn't until Sunday, which means that we have plenty of time to prepare for this new moon. If you haven't done it already, I would recommend going and doing my waning moon release and celebration process, which we did with the lunar. So a process of releasing the old energies that you don't want to bring forward into the new lunar month, and setting the energies that you do. So it's a really nice welcoming in of the lunar month. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing some intention setting. I'm going to take you through the planetary movements for this lunar month ahead, not in a huge amount of detail, but we'll be covering the main movements and how you can work with them. We're going to have our stay and play session, so don't share them now if you're joining me live in the chat. And hello, I can see people already joining. Hi Candice, lovely to see you. Hi Esther, lovely to see you. Well, when I say right now let's share our runes, then I will do mini readings for as many of you as I can. And I'm also going to be introducing our theme for the month. So as you know, we work with the new moon and intention setting sets our theme for the month, and then we have 3 further sessions through the lunar cycles where we explore. But I've got a question for you before we start on that, which is I've been pondering the term woo woo. So woo woo it's not part of my vocabulary. It's not something that I say about myself, neither is it something that has ever been used about me. I've not used it to describe myself, nor do I use it to describe the people who I work with, but I know that it is a conversation that's current and present. I've seen it in a number of groups that I'm a member of, and people saying either I like the term, it's sort of, I'm happy to embrace it as meaning, I don't know, I'm an alternative person, I'm a person who's spiritual, I'm a person who's magical in some way. Or whether you're someone who's maybe like a little bit like me, sort of, maybe, I don't know if I'm neutral about it. I think I'm sort of ambivalent about it, because I don't really like the words, woo woo. It's similar to me, I've had conversations with people where they've talked about the word weird over the years, and if I was going to use a term, if I was going to use a term to describe myself, I'd probably use weird rather than woo woo. No, we were talking about this in the Amplify program with the current cohort, and sort of saying, well, weird in the Northern tradition sense can be referred to the WYRD and have quite an empowering magical sense. And it can be nice to claim that, particularly if it's been used about yourself. And I've certainly had the term weird used about me in the past. But I'd love to know your thoughts about it, or whether you think of woo as being a derogatory term in some way, or a self-effacing or like making yourself smaller. And I think maybe that's what I don't like about the energy, is that it does feel like there's a little bit of, I'm just a bit woo-woo, as if it's sort of dismissive, is the way that I sense it. It's dismissive, and I feel as if, why are we dismissing ourselves? But those are my thoughts, and I've only just formulated them, so I'd love to know what you think. Woo-woo. Is it a term you have heard used? In what context? Is it a term you use about yourself? Is it one that you would embrace? Is it one that you say, no? Is it one that you've never heard before in your life and I've just introduced it to you? I'd love to know your thoughts about this. And this is relevant for the topic that we're going to bring in. It's something that I thought, this is relevant at this point. Candice, not overly fond, as it tends to be used as an insult. And I sort of feel that too. I don't think that somebody self-described as woo-woo as the first time it was ever used in a positive sense. It says, I know a woo was a cocktail drink. Yeah, and I think as well, so I'd be happy to have a woo-woo cocktail. That would be fine with me. And like you say, the term seems to be used as something fluffy and not deep, which is nobody here, I don't believe. I would be very happy to have a fluffy but not deep cocktail, but maybe not a fluffy but not deep witchy friend. So keep it coming, because it's an interesting piece. And the reason I brought it today is because we're going to be looking at, through our month ahead, the voice from the edge, and the voice of the mystic specifically. And before we take our dive into that and start to work through the other sessions, I wanted to bring in one piece, because it's I feel that it's important to recognise that voices from the edge in this context, there are 2 sorts of voices from the edge. I'm sure there's others as well. 2 sorts of voices from the edge. There are voices that have been silenced, or repressed or ignored, and that will cover a very broad range of people, obviously, some of whom have suffered, terribly in our world through their whatever group they might be a member of, for whatever reason that they're born into or that they self-identify with, being silenced, repressed, ignored, having violence done against them, many different things. And that is one very important category of voices from the edge. The second category is voices that are meant to exist on the edge. That's sort of part of their by design process. And the mystic, to me, sits within both of those groups. So the mystic is meant to journey out to the edges. For those of you who have worked with me before, I talk about Inengard, the realm of the known and the realm of the safe, and Utengard, the realm of the other and the risk taker. And there is a pushing out into Utengard of voices that society has decided to silence. The good way of looking at that is people who have decided to commit violence or break society's rules in some way or other, and are like wicked people are pushed out of society because it's not safe for them to be in society. Obviously we know that that's very problematic. It doesn't always work that way, but equally Utengard was seen as somewhere that people, as they emerged into adulthood or wanted to claim part of their identity, magical identity in particular, would need to travel out into Utengard in order to claim the power that was only available for them from going out into the realms of the unknown, going out to the edges. So very illnesses, near-death experiences, sitting out, or utaseta, going out into nature. All of these things are examples of somebody going and existing on the edge. You could see it also with stories, not just in the northern tradition, with stories like the Buddha, for example, someone who sets aside the safe trappings of the life that they've been born into. They've been born into Inengard, and they choose to move out into Utengard, and they find wisdom, they find grace, they find enlightenment there. And this is the realm of the mystic. So the mystic falls within that second category, but the mystic, I believe, also falls into the first category, as do most of our parts of our magical self, which is why I brought that term woo-woo in, because there are plenty of linguistic methods in which society can other people, can make them seem fluffy and not deep, or whatever it is that they want to do, as well as less. Well, I personally believe that words can perform violence, certainly on the ideas of self and identity and value, but there are obviously other forms of violence as well that can be done to make somebody feel that they are being silenced or repressed or ignored or othered in some way. So the magical self has experienced a process of othering, I believe, certainly in Western society. And that means that it can be very, very hard for us to connect with the wisdom of the mystic. But not just is it hard for us to connect with the wisdom of the mystic, even if you then claim your magical self and you pour yourself into this process and you say, yes, I'm meant to go out there. You choose, and I'm going to go out to the edges and find that part of myself. What's incredibly difficult is that our society doesn't then recognize the value of that process when you come back. So what do you do with that wisdom? And I'm bringing that in because I was very surprised when I found that we were going to be working with the mystic, that Frigg, the queen of the heavens, the queen of Asgard, came forward as the patroness for this particular piece of work, for our exploration of the mystic over the next 4 weeks through the coming lunar cycle. And she basically, the reason that she came forward at this point, and you have no idea how many times I went in and said, who will be our patron for this? And I was like, it feels like it's somebody really, really familiar. And I feel as if it's on the tip of my tongue, but it just won't come. And I was like naming all the names and doing all of the things. And Odin was there going, yeah, it's fine, but it's not me. Heimdall was there going, yeah, it's fine, but it's not me. And Noah came forward, and she's going to have to do a little bit of work with her first, but she wasn't the holder. And Frigg is the holder. Now, through the course of this year of 2024, Frigg's chariot, Roman equivalent Venus, is having an unusual year in that it is not going on retreat. It's not going into retrograde even once this year. Frigg is holding her course all the way through the course of this year. Now, for those of you who have worked with me before, you'll know that we talk about the idea of the planets going on retreat. It's almost that they need to go, these deities, soul guides, whatever you want to call them, and have their own, connect with their own mystic. I need to go out there, I need to be alone. Odin goes on retreat about 3 times a year, because he's a wanderer, isn't he? He's a wanderer, he's a mystic. He was the one who I thought was going to come. Frigg, much less frequently. But she has Na, who we're going to work with, who is one of her handmaidens who goes out into the world, carrying her messages out into the world. And what she was explaining to me is she was saying, I represent the other side of the mystic. I represent the point when the mystic returns from Utengard and comes into Inengard, and I hold the space where that process is valued, and where I then work with the mystic to say, how do we bring into manifestation the vision that you have seen? How do we integrate the power that you have brought back? How do we act on the wisdom that you have discovered? How do we explore the possibilities that you have seen through this process? She's almost the blessing of society. She's also representing the other parts of the magical self, like the magician or the healer or the sage, that take that wisdom of the mystic and say, well, what can we do with it? So she's actually, I was like, oh, well, that's really interesting. Really interesting that she's talking to us about how do we welcome and work with our mystics. So this can be whether you're welcoming and working with the part of you that is the mystic, or whether you're saying, actually, this is about how do I do that work and connect with people who are also mystics, who they might need help to bring their work into the world, or where are my partners? Where are the people who I need to work with that my mystic needs in order to collaborate? The mystic needs to collaborate. They don't always want to collaborate because they like the bit where they go out and they, connect with possibility and with power, and they like that bit. Now, I say this as a self-confessed dominant mystic, but we need that collaboration. We need that welcome back in. So that's what we're going to be looking at through the course of this month ahead. Let's see what else of says. So Grace says that woo-woo feels very fake. Yeah, there is. I think there is something a bit fake about it, isn't there? Yeah, it's sort of worse. Is it worse than weird? I'm not sure. Lisa says, I've come across it but not had it said to me. More seen used in a slightly immature. Yeah, immature like YouTube and TikTok. Yeah, those sorts of things. I think maybe Candice was talking about depth, weren't you? Was it Candice or was it Esther? Sorry, I apologize. It was Esther, wasn't it? But yeah, that it can be used in those contexts. It makes it says good morning. So this is something for you to ponder as you feel into your mystic, is maybe how it might not be relevant for you, but it might be relevant for people around you and magical people around you, and the way in which we the words that are used about us, or that we can even use about ourselves, can serve to disempower and to make it incredibly difficult for the mystic who goes out to find those places of possibility and brings back often very fragile possibilities into the world that require tending and nurturing. How difficult is that when people are going, well, they're just woo-woo, that they don't really mean, that doesn't really mean anything, we don't need, but that's just so and so, it's just their way. I'm reading How to Train Your Dragon to my 6-year-old. 6-year-old, he's not even 6 yet, he's going to be 6 next month. Reading How to Train Your Dragon at the moment. I feel like Hiccup Horrendous Haddock is one of those, he has to sort of, he's not understood. It's not understood. That can be challenging, can't it? So let's have a look at our planetary movements. Is there anything I need to say before we get into our planetary movements? I feel as if there's something I've not said. No, we'll look at our planetary movements, what's going to be coming for this coming lunar cycle, what energies are available to us at the moment. So I did want to mention, because the new moon, which is a new moon in Tewaz, which is a moon of action. It's a moon of truth, it's a moon of action, it's a moon of cutting through the stuff that constrains us, which is one of the reasons why this is important, one of the reasons why I feel like this is an important energy. So if our new moon is coming on Sunday, and that is going to then translate into a full moon at the mid-park, at the high tide mark of weird flowing into the month with the full moon, into a full moon in Kinaz, which is the rune of the creator, this moon of manifestation, which is again why I feel, oh well, this is really important. This sense of how does the mystic collaborate with the magician self to say, I know I've seen this. For those of you who are creatives, you'll know the mystic is the source of our imagination. So it's the source of that. I've seen this like picture of the thing, and now I'm going to try and paint it. And then it becomes a collaboration between the magician and the mystic, because it isn't as simple as saying the mystic saw this, and now the magician is going to recreate it perfectly as it was seen by the mystic. It's not really that, is it? They're moving backwards and forwards with each other all of the time, in that sense. So we've got this cutting through, moving forward, standing in our truth, standing in our power, new moon, followed by this big manifestation moon, full moon coming through for the month ahead. And what I'd like you to think of before we move on to the other planetary movements, just have a feeling now, and you can do this through the remainder of the week, around what does that mean for you in terms of crafting intentions for the lunar cycle ahead. If you think about that trajectory of standing in your truth, standing in your power, being in integrity, cutting through the stuff that's in your way, and then being able to move forward and manifest. And remember some of those things that I've said about collaboration as well. So I want you to think about, what are my intentions for the month ahead? And the second question, and this is very important for the mystic self, is what support do I need? What support do I need to bring them through? Now I'm going to invite you, if you've already got an intention that you want to bring forward, I'm going to invite you to share it in this space, because that is actually a very powerful form of support, is to have the intentions that we've set for ourselves be witnessed in a space like this. Obviously, for those of you who are in the hearth space, you've got that container of the hearth space. It is it's a private group, essentially. You can apply to join, and absolutely you can join, but it's held as a contained space. If you're catching up on the YouTube channel, then absolutely you can share in the YouTube channel space, or in the public spaces as well. But it is that act of being witnessed, which is powerful in itself, because we give voice to what our intentions are. We shape our words around. If you think of them of the runes as being these containers of energy, and obviously the language that we're speaking is made up of those raw energies of the runes, or be it made more complex, and that English is a daughter of those older languages. But the act of shaping with words is one of the ways in which what the mystic has brought back, the way in which the sage helps the mystic to bring those intentions into being. So you've got that piece of support, energetic piece of support, and a specificity piece of support that the magician needs as well, because the magician otherwise will look blankly in the mystic and say, I'm sorry, you what? What is it that you, why, I don't understand. You're saying that you saw this landscape with a goddess moving across it with antlers. What do you want me to do with that? And they have to have a dialogue. What is it that the mystic wants the magician to do with that? So it's that act of forming, and the sage can help with that, with the creating of those words. But equally, when we say it and other people have seen it, then we're more likely to do it as well. So post your intentions and post what support you need. Cannot tell you how many times I have said this to people who will come, and particularly people will email. It's absolutely fine to email and say, what are your recommendations for this particular book, or what do you know about working with this goddess or this deity? And it's lovely when people get in touch with me, but I'm aware of the fact that not only am I in this group, but there are also 665 at this moment, 666 people in this group at this very moment, all of whom have a wealth of knowledge to offer to you. So just saying, I'm looking for a book on this topic or something to inspire me in this way, what might you offer in a group like this, is a powerful thing to do, and you might get the support that you need just from posting it. So if you have any intentions that you already know, or you have support needs that you already know, do post them as we're going through, but don't miss the opportunity. Use this time between today is like Monday for those of you who are joining me here live, and Sunday at the new moon, to put those things in place, to post your intentions and to say what support you need. Okay, so that's our lunar energy, and I wanted to draw that out first, that Tewaz Kinaz energy, because it's very important and it's really helpful in terms of thinking about the mystic self, the magical self, and the support that you need. I also want to mention that before we get to the new moon, we do have 2 planetary movements this week. So for those of you who are here with me live, we still have Odin is moving into Bacano on the 6th, so that's in 2 days' time. And Frigg is moving into Suelo on the same day, on the 6th. And we're starting to see all of the faster-paced planets. So the Sun, Odin, and Frigg, and also Tyr is hanging around in a very similar sphere to Odin and Frigg at the moment, which is really interesting, and it's really emphasizing that that energy. They're all moving from the second day, which is the 8 of challenge, challenge and finding guidance and finding teachers after it's like that sort of the formative energies of the first 8 are like that childhood experience and the bringing in of those formative energies. And then you move into the second 8, which disrupts that. And it says, wow, this is what I thought. It's a little bit like moving from Innengard into Utengard. I was in Innengard, I felt safe, it was brilliant, but I knew there was something in me that said, there's more, or I need to find my own path now. So it's the finding of your own path, which is done by disruption. And then we move into the third 8, which is an integration. It's a moving into power and sovereignty. It's a saying, I'm starting, to get to the point of recognizing that it might soon be my turn to hold that space for somebody else, to be the one who welcomes in others who are at an earlier stage in their journey. I know. So this is the energy that all of those planets are slowly transitioning into and through at this point. So we've got Frigg in Suelo, so she's about to transition into the third 8. Odin is already there. He's trailblazing ahead, saying, right, I'm in Bacano, I'm embracing the divine feminine. This is the masculine embracing the divine feminine. Frigg is embracing that action, that following the action with the Suelo rune, that sort of self-confidence, knowing what you need to do and being prepared to do it, being prepared to take a leadership role as well. So as we're going through the rest of the planetary movements, what I do for people who are in Birth Rune Soul Journey, where we do a deeper dive around the planetary movements, and in Sooner Style as well, you'll get your month ahead in more depth, is I encourage people to look at what are the runes that are coming up with the planets at the moment. So where's the sun, where's the moon, where's Frigg's chariot, and all of the other planets that can offer some of that supportive energy that you need. So when you put in your intentions and then you say, what support might I need? Don't just look to the runes to support you, because they'll get a bit annoyed after a while. They'll be like, there's plenty of people around you who can help with that as well. But when it's using them as part of your toolkit, it's saying, yes, now I can work with, I need a little bit of sovereignty energy. Where am I going to look at that for there? Well, I can't see anything that's in Manaz at the moment, but the Suelo energy of Frigg could be really, really powerful for me in that. And perhaps there's a bit of Kinaz energy with the shaping the kingdom that I dream of and desire of, and recognizing that I have that power to do that. So you can start to look at which planets are in which runes and which ones will support you in your intention. So this is why it can be really helpful to do this piece. So through the course of this month, Suna's chariot, the sun, will be moving from Bacano. She'll move into Bacano, so into the rune of the divine feminine, of the earth, there's a rebirthing energy there too. There's a deeply nurturing energy there too. So if your energy is low, you're going, my intention is to focus on my energy, Bacano is an excellent rune to work with. It's offering itself already through Odin's chariot. Suna's chariot is going to be moving there. The spring equinox every year falls bang in the middle of the Bacano rune. Every single year. That's one of the ways that we can place our sun runes, and then the cycle moves all the way around. Kinaz, the full moon rune that we're going to be working with, right on the other side at the autumn equinox for the sun. That's also quite a nice partnership there with the Bacano sun and the Kinaz full moon. Exciting. So she's going to be moving from Bacano first with that nurturing energy, and then into Ewaz, which is the supporter. That's that supporter energy. So who might my collaborators be? I'm looking for someone to help me with this. It's a wonderful time to be posting and saying, I'm looking for someone to help me with this, as soon as chariot moves into Ewaz. Odin is also going to make it into Ewaz. So we've done Suna. Odin is going to make it into Ewaz this month. and he's going to stay in Ewas for a very long time because he's going to go into retreat. So he will move from Bacano into Ewas through the course of the lunar cycle, and then he'll go on retreats. He'll stay in Ewas through that time. So what we will find is that it's a great time to be saying, I'd really like some partnership right now, and I would like it with this. I'd like to put it out there and find who I can work with. And there is a requirement to be prepared that this time when Odin's chariot is in Ewas, that you might feel a little bit like, oh, the universe doesn't have my back at the moment because Odin's on holiday. You know, he's gone, I'm leaving it to you for now. So he's saying, trust your human partners, you know, work with it. So we might get a little bit of that when he goes on retreat. We might also get a little bit of exposure to the partnerships that aren't working for us. So pre-existing partnerships that aren't working for us. We might find some conflict coming through them. But it is worth bearing in mind that what we're seeing there with Odin on retreat is almost a pulling away of the support infrastructure that's available to us, that sort of calms the waters and helps us to find rapport and all of those sorts of things. And sometimes that's helpful because it requires us to go and have the conversation that we didn't want to have with the person we didn't want to have it with. And there are ways of doing that that mean that you emerge stronger than you started out in. So just be aware that partnership is a very key theme, but it is a key theme also not just in terms of there will be lovely, delicious hugs available to you at any time and you just put it out there and it comes. It's a little bit deeper than that because of this retreat energy. There is a little bit of, I was in that partnership and I realised that that's not entirely beneficial to me. I'm going to share with you a partnership right now that I'm having to wean myself off, and that is my partnership with tea. Here we go, this is my intention. I can't believe I'm saying it. So when I had arthritis and I did a full, like everything, you know, no food stuff, take it all away, and then slowly reintroduce all of the foods in order to find out. And I did like kinesthesiology and all sorts of things to find out where I might have where my partnership with particular food types might be not supporting my full recovery in that time. The one thing that I refused to omit, well, exclusion diets, I think that's what they're called, was tea. So I was like, no, I don't care if tea is destroying me. I love it. So I'm still drinking it now, as you can see. I don't drink coffee. I hardly drink any alcohol. Don't drink, pretty much anything. And I drink decaf tea exclusively. But I've been told that it does not help my iron absorption, which is something that I'm also struggling with. And so through the course of this month, I'm looking to re-establish my partnership with tea in a different way and to explore teas that do not have tannins in and do not stop me from absorbing my iron. So one partnership that I love is stopping me from having another partnership with something that I need, So those types of things can come up. So it's that invitation, it's to look at those sorts of things. So I've mentioned the spring equinox that will happen in the middle of Suna's chariot in Bacano. We will be moving just before that into Thor's Hall. And I really like that because this month we're at I've said this a few times, but it's just important. There is a very, very big energetic shift happening at the moment. We had a little bit of a precursor to it back in the early autumn. And it's coming again. And it is Ud's chariot moving into Ingu's. So Ud's chariot moved for a very brief period of time into Ingu's in 2023, and then it went on retreat and went back into Largu's. And when it moves into Ingu's this time, it's not going back into Largu's, it's there and it's set. And this is a seed of the new, you might think of it as a world order, you might think of it as being like karma, you might think of it as being sort of collective, the collective bonds of society, the collective ways in which we work with each other, and all of these things. So Ingu's is like a new blueprint for how we are going to be in the world. And so when Ud's chariot moves into Ingu's, which is not this lunar cycle, it's coming up very shortly after this point though, whatever it is that you've decided about your life, and this isn't always about doing, this isn't like I'm going to be in, this is the job that I'm going to be in now for the next however many years, it's not that, but it is the way in which I live my life, the way in which I stand in my values, the way in which I conduct the rhythm of my life, what I tolerate and what I don't tolerate. Those types of things will be set at that point, and it'll be much harder to change them once this Ud's chariot and Ingu's period has come in. At the moment we've got Ud's chariot and Lagu, so it's all about cleansing and releasing and recognizing the stuff and working with it and composting the stuff that we don't want, and and flowing and being fluid, like all of those things. It's been a very, very fluid, like healing, rebirthing, not always pleasant, but I can work through it and I can push this away and I can bring something else into. All of that's been available. When we get into Ud's chariot and Ingu's, that's going to change, and already the planets are starting to align towards that. So I really like that at the spring equinox, this sort of point, this tipping point energy, when we move into the new into the spring phase. We have Thor's horn, and Thor is there with his hammer, holding the hammer, and he's going to raise it up high, and then he's going to bless the land. He's going to bless the blueprints that we are setting for our lives. Let's be too dramatic about it. So if there's anything that you're just like, no, this is not the way life needs to be for me. Even if you're at the point where you go, this is not the way life needs to be for me, and yet I am stuck right now. I can't, I literally can't make any changes that are going to resolve this issue for me in my life right now. What you want to look at is, what are the ways in which I'm inviting in something different and new every single day? Be the invitation, be the energetic resonance with something new. If it's like, I need to have more rest, even if you say, okay, 5 minutes, I'm going to prioritize rest for 5 minutes every day, to set the energetic blueprint that rest is important to me and I want more of it. For me with the tea thing, obviously it's been years and years and years. I need to set the energetic signature for myself that my health is the most important thing to me, because I want to have the energy to continue to do the work that I'm doing here with you, and I want to have the energy to spend fabulous, wonderful weekends with my children, and to see people that I love, and to do fabulous and wonderful things. And so it's those setting of those intentions. And Kanzi, you're saying, sounds like the universe is on the brink of possibilities. Yes, brink of possibilities. And the Ingu's rune is sort of drinking in, is the way I would say. It's drinking in everything that we're feeding into it at this point. The seed is drinking that in, ready to then manifest all of the stuff. Teas with the nettle are good for iron absorption. Thank you, Lisa. That's really interesting. I'll also tell you why it's interesting. You'll remember this band here. I'm still wearing my nettle band here, and I have been thinking about nettle, so thank you. There you go, support. I said to myself this morning, I was like, I need to research teas that are good for iron absorption. I said it, and Lisa has provided me with a perfect example of one tea that I can introduce into my life right now. It works. It works, people. Put out what it is that you're looking for and see what comes. Thank you very much, Lisa. Okay, final planetary movement I wanted to mention is Tyr's chariot. So Thor, he's pretty steady at the moment. Tyr's chariot is going to move from Algiz, which is the rune of guidance. I've got your back. I'm there. There's a supportive energy. Into Suelo, follow your instinct, trust yourself, into Tewaz. You remember the Tewaz full moon? So at the end of this cycle, Tyr is going to move into Tewaz. It's his rune as well anyway. So he's happy. It is that cutting through, moving forward, this is the way, don't falter, all of that going on with our Tyr's chariot rune at the end of this month. So that new moon energy will continue. It will be held through Tyr's chariot for the next cycle as well. So it continues to be a really important energy for us. So we've done some intentions. I'm going to have a look at some of these intentions, and I'm going to ask you to share now your rune, the rune that you're working with as a spirit guide at the moment, however that works for you, whether you're like reading its meanings at the moment, or you're working with it energetically. Maybe you're doing some starred Galdra work or some Galdra work, or you're creating runes and carving them in candles, whatever it is that you're doing. Or you've literally just pulled the rune and you're going, yeah, this is the one that I'm working with. Let me know what rune you're working with at the moment. My pen's not working. Of course it isn't. There we go. Suki's got Gibo. And we will do some little mini readings. We'll have a look at what people have said. Oh, I've got some interesting stuff. So Suki, you've got very literal crafting. You've done 2 hobbycraft classes online and not finished my projects yet. The block must lift. I love that. It's obviously like you can use the Tewaz energy to lift the block, and then the Kinaz energy to help to manifest it. That's beautiful. Esther, we're working on finding out what the northern people used to call the star constellations. Oh, I know, because you posted about that in Birth Through Soul Journey. I'm so interested in that project. I'm just like, don't look. So I'll be sucked into it, but I want you to do it. This is the collaboration. The collaboration here, Esther. So you will do all the work, and I will reap all the benefit. No. But I'm really looking forward to it. I want to support you in any way we can on that project, because it's absolutely fascinating. Maggie's saying it sounds intrigued as well, as is Candice. Yes, we're all interested in that one. And we've got 2 Dargazes. Grace has got Dargaz and Esther has got Dargaz. And Esther, so I'll remember that. Candice has got Ansu's reversed. And Lisa, you've got Tewaz. Oh, that's perfect for you then, Lisa, isn't it? Well, great rune to be working with us. We have a Tewaz new moon and the Tewaz Tears Chariot and Tewaz. So what I should say, actually, because Lisa, you're a member of Sooner Star Wheel, aren't you? If you have your journal, if you have your Sooner Star Wheel journal that comes with Sooner Star Wheel, you will get 3 months of the planetary movements at the same time. And then you can look ahead and you can say, oh, this is what's coming up. These are the energies that are coming up as well, even further ahead. And the new edition of Sooner Star Wheel, of the journal, the journaling companion. So you can subscribe to Sooner Star Wheel and decide, right, I don't need to order the journal, I don't want to, or you can order the journal on its own without the full all singing, all dancing meditations and guidance from me, or you can do both. So that's going to be coming out for April, for our April, May and June lunar cycles in the next couple of weeks. So look out for that. And if you're already a member of Sooner Star, we'll send you a reminder direct to you about that. Let's see then. So Suki, you've got your Gibo rune. Oh, there's a fairness there for me. I think it's connecting in with your Tewaz rune. That's what I'm feeling. That sense of what is right. What's right, what's proper. Look out for anything, thinking about that partnerships piece. Look out for anything where either, it's almost like I can feel sort of competing bits. It's like that internal narrative that says, oh, I'm giving a lot and maybe somebody else isn't giving as much, but that should be okay with me. Does it make me a bad person that I'm not thinking about that, or that I'm saying that that's okay and I'm letting them off the hook? And or the other way around, or someone else is giving a lot and I'm not, and then I'm feeling guilty about it and I'm finding it harder, and then I'm resenting the person a little bit. There's a little bit of that coming in. I'm sorry, just wait a moment, I'm going to clear my throat. There you go. And it almost feels as if maybe this is not yours so much as you're aware of those dynamics around you, and so it's bringing attention to that, to say, okay, this is happening, and then stepping back into that instinct of going, is it, and do I need to do anything about it? Because it just being aware doesn't always mean that you then need to do anything about it. So it's that there's the intuition or the instinct that says there's something that's off balance here, and then there's the instinct or intuition that says, is this mine to do anything about? So you might want to look at, say, okay, when I have those noticing moments, is it then for me to act, or is it for me to mention it to somebody else so that they can act, just like an observation, or is it just something that I need to be aware of so that I can manage my own energy around this? So I think that's what Gibo is inviting you into there with this Tewaz energy as well, is recognizing that just because a gift is offered, I've noticed something, doesn't mean that we have to actually accept it or integrate it or do anything with it. I think it was a really helpful piece that someone said to me once. She said, when someone offers you something, graciously accepting it is enough. Once it's been given to you and you want to say, oh, that's wonderful, that's great, thank you so much. If you don't want to keep it, you don't have to keep it. They gave it to you, and then it's yours. After that, you can do with it what you want. And it feels a little bit like that. It's a little bit like, those awarenesses that come in, starting to bring some of that, do I have to act on that? Do I not have to act on that? And trusting your instinct around that. So I've got 2 Dargaz runes. I can feel that because they're the Dargaz rune here. So this is the Gibo rune that we're working with Suki. Here's the Dargaz rune. You'll notice how the Dargaz rune has got a Gibo rune inside it. And then it's got these 2 lines, which to me at this point are actually acting as filters. They're actually acting as filters that allow us to move forward with the rapidity that Dargaz often offers. So Dargaz is the rune of the day. It can be a rune of like very sudden transformation, where 1 minute we're like, oh, I feel terrible about it, and suddenly we have that real clarity in that moment, that we've passed through one thing and we're already in another state. And I think with the Dargaz rune at this point, for you, Candice and Grace, and anyone else who has got the Dargaz rune, it's that recognition that our magical selves, or our instinctive, visioning, knowing parts of us, can take very sudden leaps forward in terms of our consciousness of where we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do with our energies, what's supposed to be happening here or there. But then there are other parts of ourselves that need to catch up with that. So sometimes those of you who, if you've had your birth runes reports, and you'll know I talk about, if you've got Dargaz, the sun in Dargaz, Suna's chariot in Dargaz, I'll say sometimes like other people will have a real challenge catching up with you, and you might feel a bit impatient about sort of letting them know what it is that is so obvious to you. You're like, oh, how can they not already see the same thing? And it can feel like, oh, a bit torturous to go back and say, this is why we need to do the thing. I know there might not be a full evidence base for it, but we can get the full evidence base for it. And what is it that you need in order to be able to make this leap in faith or in understanding that I've already made? That can be a challenge for people with Suna's chariot and Dargaz. But here, there's a little bit of a sense of what does the rest of you, what do the bits that are sort of maybe lagging behind and saying, oh, well, you might feel that's absolutely brilliant and wonderful, but I'm a bit frightened right now. It's that piece. It's saying, when you move through the gateway of Dargaz, make sure that you are facilitating every part of yourself going through that doorway with you. That you're not leaving parts of you behind that also need to be integrated into the change. That's the sense that I'm getting. It's otherwise at some point you'll get pulled back. There'll be the part of you that can't do it. So I'm thinking about this. I was talking about my iron levels, for example. So for me, it's that recognition of my mystic self might say, I want to do this and it's going to be brilliant, it's amazing, and I'm going to learn and everything, and I can see it so clearly how it's going to work out and what's going to happen and all of those things. And at some point, my energy will collapse, because that part of me, that hasn't resolved whatever is working on, and believe me, I'm working on it, will say, and I need to go slower. It's but part of that integration process. And I think that Dargaz is, if you think about the seed that we were talking about, and sowing that seed and saying, as I move forward through my life, the blueprint that I want to have in place is that I can be totally connected to what it is that I need to do in the world and how to do it, but I will also have the tenacity and the patience and the perseverance to allow the rest of me to be on board with this before I set go, and how to manage my energy. I've given energy management as an example, but you could look at other things as well. The part of me that needs to go on holiday quite frequently, or the part of me that needs to work in partnership with others, and so I need to build the right team around me in order to do that. It's those sorts of things. It's making room for that. So that's what I would suggest with your Dargaz rune, is that you say, okay, so my soul essence, the me, where I live, knows the direction of travel, but I am also woven into the tapestry of being, and I need to bring, the tapestry needs to reweave itself around that as well. So that is Grace and Esther. Candice, let's look at you with the Ansu's rune then. So our Ansu's rune, let's find Ansu's. You remind me, Candice, I don't know what's coming up for me here. Here's Ansu. So this is the way that it looks when it's the right way up. And this is the way that it looks when it's upside down. You're reminding me of an exercise that we were doing in Awaken with the Awaken cohort last week. And we were looking at how to create energetic space containers with the runes. And some of us worked with reversed energies. We got a rune that was reversed, and we were like, well, we could turn it up the right way, but we could also look at what will happen if it's reversed. And it feels like, to me, sometimes we can be like, oh, the rune is upside down, therefore it must absolutely be negative. But I'm aware that your rune came up, and this is why I love doing these readings these ways, because the runes pass to each other like a sort of story from one to the other. Is talking about this rune as perhaps representing the parts that need to go slower, the parts that might feel like they're being held back. And it's that that when we have parts of our energy system or parts of our shadow self, or just it's just life, it's just the way it is, a partner or a child or a friend, whoever it is, who is not able to take the journey as swiftly as we might want, we can resent that. We can say, why aren't I able to do the thing? That it's not, that's not fair, it's horrible, it's miserable. And that can make us act out towards that part of ourselves, to feel anger and resentment, frustration, all of those things. And I think that this Ansu's rune is almost saying, what would it be like to hold a container and hold a space that says, I have offered my gifts into this space of the new project that I want to do, or the vision that I've seen, or the thing that I want to bring through. And then you say to the part of yourself that's going, go slow, no. You say, what gifts do you have to offer to this space? What could going slower, or working in a different way, or calling in a collaborator to do the bits that I can't do, or, whatever it is, what gifts does that part have to offer to me that could actually make the result of what I want to achieve better? And it's not saying you do that and then everything will be brilliant and shiny, but it's saying holding the possibility that the parts that feel like you're holding you back may actually be supporting you as you move forward is a more empowering place to stand. I think that's what this rune is offering there, with its upside downness there. It's like a container. Instead of it being it's pouring all of the energy out and saying, here are the ideas flowing forth from me all of the time with the Ansu's rune, it becomes like a little container drawing energies back in and holding them, in its little upside down spinniness. Okay. Lisa, you've got the Tewaz rune. Do I have the Tewaz rune here? Here is our Tewaz rune. So we've done a little bit of work on the Tewaz rune, and I think, Lisa, we talked about this, didn't we? We were talking about this before, so I'm just trying to feel into, I don't want to cloud what we've discussed before with what's coming up now. I'm reminded that the Tewaz rune is really interesting, because when I close my eyes, as I did just then, Tewaz can offer some very distinctive energies. Some runes, they blur their energies, they blur and they blend. But Tewaz, to me, tends to, I think it's just its nature, isn't it? It's it can be very straightforward in many ways. This is what I need to do. I will do it, whatever needs to happen in order to get it done. So sometimes when I close my eyes, I see this very deep blue energy, the sort of the integrity of Tyr, the blue sky with the guiding star above it. It feels very rich and centered and honest and whole, and there's the energy like the judge and the sovereign self in that. It's like this deep rich blue colour. Sometimes I close my eyes and I can see silver, and it's like a watery silver. It's like rain spattering down upon the Tewaz rune that's like this beautiful silver pillar, rooted in the earth and reaching to the sky, and the rain is coming down. It's always this sort of incorruptibility in some way, that it purifies the rain as the rain descends upon it, and the tides might come up and they might come down, but it stays there, it draws us in, it helps us to overcome obstacles and to stay connected with our spiritual truth, even when remembering the mystic and that the desire of the magician to understand what the mystic wants, even when the mystic is not able yet to communicate their desires, to communicate what they want, they can call on the Tewaz rune to help them to stay centered in the vision that they've just had of a better world. The Tewaz rune helps them to do that and says, yes, come into this space of spiritual truth that surpasses everything else. So it can offer that. And then I close my eyes for a third time, and I see red. I see the deep, rich, earthy red, so of Mars. So this is the chariot is Mars. Passion, the willingness to sweat blood and tears for what you believe in, to make sacrifice, to make sacrifice and make sacred by doing that. It's just like deep red, vibrant life force energy that is different to the Fey rune at the beginning, with this flowing, bountiful supply of energy. It's the warrior going into battle after having done all of the practice and like eaten really well and got themselves in the best possible shape. Got myself in the best possible shape, and I know when I go in, I'm going to be disconnected from that for a while. It will be my own resources that I offer into this battle. There are times when that happens. And a reminder here at this point, which I do think is important, is that when I talk, we don't have the same level of mythic tapestry to describe the activist rather than the warrior. So you could look at it as being like the activist who goes out to offer their efforts to charity or goes out on missions of peace. This is still, I believe, warrior energy. It's just that the word is entangled with lots of other stuff that can suggest that the warrior is only interested in violence, which I do not believe is the case. So it's that willingness to say, I gather my energy in and then I go out and I give of myself fully and totally, knowing that this is going to deplete me, and then I stop. And what does that take? And I think that's what Lisa that's what it's offering there, is sort of saying, what does it take? What does it take to give everything of yourself and then say, I'm done. Now I've finished and now I need to recover, rather than it being a continual like plugging into energy. So there's a feel into that red there, Lisa, is what I would suggest. Jason, you've got Hagalaz. I can see that Rin has just snuck in there, Rin, with your Largus as well. So I'm going to put you down there with your Largus. So Jason with the Hagalaz rune. I'll see if I can find the Hagalaz rune. It's interesting that we were looking at sacrifice, and we were looking at what you're willing to sacrifice for, and when you're willing to stand in that space of the warrior. And we also talked about the water, didn't we? The silver and the water. Here we go with the Hagalaz rune, of that sort of being and integrity. Hagalaz, as it comes in. So Hagalaz is the hailstorm. It's the weather front that comes in and goes, right, I'm going to sweep aside everything that you thought you knew, all of the plans that you've laid. Nope, that's not the way forward. And to me, Hagalaz, if you think about it in terms of where we are with that maturity, with embracing our maturity and talking about the blueprint that we want to step into, how we want to be moving forward into the future, is recognizing that there is a balance between saying, I will weather the storm. I'll stand my ground and I'll show how tenacious I am, and I'll let it do its worst and I'll still keep going. And knowing when to say, the weather's changed. This is just, it is not the same as it was. So what I need to stop standing my ground and go and do something else. Does that make sense? It's like, it's got these two sides to it. It's two Uruz runes, isn't it? There's the Uruz rune there, and then you turn upside down, it's the Uruz rune there. And it's sort of saying that both of those options are powerful and strong. And with the Hagalaz rune, there is a sense of saying what you need to find is the place of stillness in the centre, where you're able to tell the difference between holding on and digging in and letting go and making new, and which one is the appropriate force to call on at that time. So I would have a little feel into that energy of weathering the storm or riding the storm into something new with your Hagalaz rune. And then Rin, you've got Largus. It's interesting, we've got water coming up a few times. So we just had the storm. Largus, rune of water, rising up. This is a slower energy I'm feeling, where Largus can be a fast energy, because obviously we can have waterfalls, we can have the energy of the storm with the water coming through and coming down as well. This feels like a slower energy to me, Rin. It's almost that, I would suggest that for you, it's a way of being one. It's about looking at and saying, well, how do I embody the water? So there will be times when life is going really fast and you're part of the rain, and you're actually coming down, you're offering your energy and you're fertilizing the land and you're doing all of that. And there'll be times where you're the water that's like in the well, and you're waiting, like slowly rising and bringing that up. There'll be times when your job is to be filtered by the rocks so that the impurities come out and you're just sinking down. And I think it's about, for me, it's about energy flow during the day, is what I would say. It's about looking at it and saying what you want to do is to ensure that you are allowing the different energies of Lagus, or the way that which Lagus flows, to be present in your energy body, and the way that you do stuff every day. So if you go, I've spent the whole day rushing, I feel like the waterfall or like the rain beating down, then it's like, okay, so how can I be more in that place of being purified and cleansed and filtered, or of being the still pool for a period of time? And there might be some I would suggest some meditations with water as well, could be really, really powerful for you, Rin. I'm seeing like the water when it's like the still lake, and then you've got the water beating on the surface of the lake, and how it joins the lake, but it's like these bodies of water forming, or warm currents of water and cool currents of water coming together and swirling around. There's a real sort of mystery in them. So you might want to find some tracks to listen to water, and then to allow it to see where it takes you as well with that. So it feels as if that one is quite a mystic spirit guide for you there, which brings us all the way back to the mystic there, as the energy that we are going to be exploring through the course of the month. Is there anything else that the mystic wants to say? I don't think so at this point, other than remembering what we've talked about when it can be difficult for us to bring that part of ourselves out, because we might be labelled in some ways being like woo or weird. Just recognising that that's the space of the mystic to a certain extent, and how can we be a stand for each other in that? So no, I don't want anybody in the Hearth Space group or in any of my programs to ever feel like they can't bring something that feels like it could be judged into the space and not to be received. So let's take a stand for receiving each other, for receiving each other's experiences as valid and genuine and beautiful and powerful through the course of this month. Let's have a look at what people have said just before we finished. So Candice, you're going to ask about the journal. So yes, I've got about 4 more planets to proofread before we're good to go. Suki, spot on. Big argument here this morning. Chose to retreat and not say do anything. So yeah. And you felt heartsore and sad. I'm sorry about that, but pulled back and went quiet. Okay. So yes, work on vibrating all energies, and it sounds as if there was a validation of that for you there as well from the rune too. Just saying, yes, recognise that you were doing your absolute best in that time of conflict. Esther saying very on point. Got a few areas myself that I'm getting on board with the rest of me. Good. We can support each other in that, Esther. Candice, really helpful right now. I'm really glad. The idea of working with parts of myself rather than pushing against them is definitely going to be part of my intention. Wonderful. I'm really, really pleased with that. So remembering that you can post your intentions, and you can post anything. It doesn't have to be I need support with. It can simply be I'm working on, or I'm researching. Does anybody have any advice or ideas that they can offer to me? Use the space. Let's support each other. It has been lovely to see all of you, and I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. Just before I go, I forgot to remind you that we are doing the Reclaim the Healer retreat tomorrow. We've got a lovely group that has formed, but if you were planning to go and you have forgotten, there's still time to book. Okay.